Good morning. It's Joyful Catholic Hermit here, and I've had a couple of days where I was up and doing better, but I've got a really bad headache this morning. I'm just waiting for it to get better. I'm off all my anti-inflammatory prescription medications and all the supplements I took that would help with inflammation. It's been like 3 days now because they tentatively have me scheduled for Thursday, but that may not happen. The surgeon, I think part of the problem is, again, my bone density, and then also the added aspects of the difficulty of the surgery after they get the stenosis part done. It's getting the old rods out from being embedded in so much old bone fusion and bone that has grown around the area. So and it's not like I'm going to be just fine after a surgery like that either, because already the damage that was done in 1987, he has said, that's not ever going to change. So I'll still have the constant headaches, but, I'd obviously, after surgery, be able to get back on the pain meds for those and all the supplements. I take a slew of supplements that help, and anti-inflammatory prescription drugs. But something odd had happened. Maybe I'll do a separate blog on that. But it was, I honestly answered this surgeon's nurse's question. I've never met her. The surgeon has sort of a paradigm of, he meets with the patient once. That was fairly brief. That was back on May 10th. And so over 3 weeks ago, I guess that would be. Yeah. And then he has 2 PAs. One I had met with twice. She was excellent. Then the next one I met with said things that the surgeon hadn't said, but, it's just different personalities. Then this nurse, his nurse who coordinates everything, has just talked to me on the phone. And so she had asked me if I ever had dark thoughts or thoughts of harming myself. And I said, oh my goodness, yes, probably 35 years of it, or at least since the other surgery 32 years ago. I said, oh yeah, I get into these terrible pain sieges and, can't even think. And of course, you're just desperately trying to think of any way out. Well, she had asked, well, do you have a plan? And I said, I've had several plans. The mind just goes there. And so she didn't say really much. Explained, that obviously I don't act on anything. Nor do I think I would. I didn't explain, but of course, none of us never know. I try to live in the order of the present moment. And I didn't get into how the devil is involved with suffering, especially, chronic pain people and severe pain. I actually live with severe pain, and God's grace and my guardian angel, I get through more severe pain repeatedly by the grace of God. It's sort of miraculous, and obviously miraculous. But I just made a simple answer, honest. Doctors over the years have asked me. They do, and yes, and even my pain doctor. I tell him every morning I wake up and it's, ugh, I'm alive. Take my medication, wait an hour or even up to 4 hours. Today I'm at least 3 hours waiting to get a grip enough to get up. I did get up just to get the coffee, and just to walk on my feet is so painful. But I know that that's from being off my medications, the anti-inflammatories, that everything that was being masked. And supplements, wow, when you go off of them and realize I was taking a large amount of powdered turmeric for inflammation. How that was helping me. I realizing increasing. Well, anyway, this nurse then the next morning called and just, was really going with that. And I laughed. I explained again, talked to her about how I'm, consecrated religious solitary. I don't say Catholic or Hermit with them because you just never know. I'm in an area where there would be anti-Catholic types. Why wave red flags in front of bulls? And I even said, I shouldn't have been honest with my answer. I said, I thought that you handling back surgery cases that you would have other people, who would be honest and say, of course, I said, that's a natural thing when someone gets into excruciating pain to want to die. I did say Jesus on the cross cried out to God. And the agony in the garden was just a major pleading of, someone facing death and horrible suffering. And on the cross, he felt abandoned by God. So, and that I also, I didn't mention being a mystic. I don't know if she'd understand. I ended up later with someone else. Anyway, it got really, there were 3 phone calls that morning, and this lady, this nurse just kept on that, oddly so. I mean, obviously, if she really thought that I had some plan and was going to kill myself, she would call the police and have them come check on me. And I told her, I said, this is ridiculous. I said, I shouldn't have answered honestly, but I said, that's, obviously how people in severe pain get to that point. I said, I'm, alive 35 years later. So anyway, but it ended up then that they made conditions. Well, it's just even too much to go into, but I had to accept really as a form of persecution. So they had me go to this doctor that I'd only seen twice last fall. She didn't want to call my pain doctor, or even this other doctor who's known me for years, and that was odd, that she didn't want to call to get me verified by the pain doctor who sees me quite often, like every month. But she'd already told me a couple calls before that my pain doctor was a great advocate of mine. Well, he gets it. They have people all the time, it's just normal. But this lady said, it's not normal being like that. And I thought, honey, I'm not normal, but I wouldn't dare even broach anything spiritual with her, I realize, So anyway, of course, the doctor I saw then, he was like, well, what do they want from me? I thought, I don't know, maybe for you to say that I'm okay. But it was quite the experience. I've never been through that, so I sort of thought, well, another adventure. And it does have its great humor in it because this surgeon's nurse had gotten me in like immediately, must have really, said inflammatory things or acted like some great concern when we had talked over a period of 2 days, 4 different times on the phone. And the doctor said, well, you must not have explained to her. I said, oh, yes, I did many times. Well, then when the doctor found out that I've never even met this woman, he was like, oh my, that's terrible. But before he got to that, this was something sort of humorous I had taken with me because it was quite a long drive. So I relapsed the next day from having to drive to get to this doctor's office. That I had a water bottle, part water and part acai juice. And acai juice is a superfruit, excellent, healthy. So he was like, what's in that? What's in that? And I explained what was in it, no poison potion. And then, what's this? What's this on your face? Well, if I'd been quick enough, I would have said, I was trying to gouge out my eye, but missed. He said, no, it was a little precancerous spot burned off. Who did that? I said, well, this 60-year-old dermatologist who's been in this area for all these years practicing, excellent MD. Oh, oh my gosh. Well, anyway, it's been horrible. So that was going to be a condition that the surgeon wouldn't operate on me unless I went to this doctor that I'd only seen twice. I did, he called him and said, it's fine. I guess, whatever. Thought it was ridiculous. The nurse was laughing. Yeah, they go down through these questions of, do you have trouble sleeping at night? Or do you sleep too much, And I said, well, the other night I only got 2 hours sleep. So yes, I had trouble sleeping that night because I had to just, take increased medication and finally fell asleep at 6:30 in the morning. But I said, but then there are other times that I'm so fatigued with my constant pain that I sleep quite a bit, or I, can't get up until noon or something. And so I looked at her and I said, and the nurse said, well, I can see where all these are going. Every question, like one, I thought she had said, do you feel helpless? I said, oh my gosh, yes. I said, when I'm on the floor and down for days in a pain siege, and I think about, how am I going to, take care of myself or my place? And she said, no, hopeless. I said, well, no, I don't feel hopeless, So she ended up just marking all of them no, because, it was just so ridiculous, the whole thing. But it was a good experience. I've never, in these 35 years, been asked to undergo any kind of checkup like that. And so it did make me see what other people maybe go through. I'd explained to her that I have my little support network, and they always know when I start writing super long emails or just say, oh, I just can't take the pain. I wish I could die. I wish I could be with Christ, get to the other side. My responsibilities to my children are done on this earth. I even told this nurse that I'd had this incredible death experience and that, your whole view, it alters from that. Your belief in God is extreme, and then you realize just how glorious it is. And so yes, I long to be with Christ. I long to be with Jesus. Not on this side even. I love to, be probably doing much more good for souls on the other side. But no, I'm not going to kill myself. I do think it's important when I do write about suffering, and at times when I've talked to other people who have suffering, and I can make them feel okay, not to beat themselves up for coming to that extreme point of suffering, where you feel like or think you could do anything. The doctor I saw, we talked about, how in history it's now felt that people who were in mental institutions in the 1800s and before, some of them, it was likely felt they had migraine headaches or other pain that was inexplicable and not medications to help. So anyway, that was a fascinating experience, but I realized it was a little bit over the top. The doctor thought it was a little bit extreme on the nurse's part, and certainly so for not even ever having met me. But once again, I'm realizing that people, they don't necessarily understand the population that they are treating. And but now a condition is that I have to agree to just one kind of medication that helps bones not be get worse, but it has very severe and dangerous side effects. And that's a condition. If I don't agree to that being ordered now, and I wouldn't have it for 4 weeks after, and through this young PA who keeps making medical errors, it turned out, when I knew my own self by reading on the Mayo Clinic site that you're to fast for this certain blood test that shows PTH levels, or it won't be an accurate test. Well, this young guy hadn't had me fast. He didn't even realize that someone's supposed to fast for that test. So that's part of the problem we have with all the PAs we have. now that are put in charge of our medical care and make huge decisions. Wednesday, he had talked to me about having my parathyroid gland surgically removed. And based on this test that he hadn't had me prepare properly for, and then another test he'd had me take showed very low calcium. It's a urine test. And I had to point out to him, well, that's a very, very good thing. It shows my kidneys are in great shape and that whatever is excess is being removed. But I did take the second blood test, the follow-up that should have been done right away for accuracy. And I knew to fast because I'd read that's what you're supposed to do. And even at the lab place, they said, now you fasted, didn't you? And I said, well, yes, but only because I read online that one's supposed to do that. I said the young man ordering the test did not at all say to do that. Of course, my test came back just fine. But in the meantime, he was calling me an unusual case and wanted to consult with 2 endocrinologists because he was sure I had hyperparathyroidism and would need my parathyroid glands surgically removed. I keep trying to tell him the main objective here is to get me in for back surgery before I lose, use of my legs and bowel and bladder permanently. But anyway, so now the condition is that I have to return to this young guy and have him go ahead and order it. It's expensive. And it's a year-long medication given once by infusion. Well, there's other medications with less side effects. And I'm trying to get into these specialist doctors who have their MDs and have years of experience with osteoporosis patients and rheumatoid arthritis also, and have all the facilities in their clinic to do the testing and the treatments, whatever. And they're saying, no, I just have to go back to this one person or the surgeon won't operate. I'm finding it very bizarre. I talked to my 96-year-old aunt, and she said this is crazy. She had just had a once every 6-month injection of Prolia, another medication that helps reduce bone loss, and just requires an in-the-arm injection. And then if you have reactions to it, it's only in your system for 6 months. That seems like a good option. Or there's another, Bontiva, that is a 3-month duration medication. So, I would just like to have the freedom. I think it's sort of my right to be able to go to the bone specialist of my choice, especially after this young man 3 times, even with medication he was pushing at first, a different one, it ended up that would not have been at all good for me because of the side effects. And the fact that he doesn't know enough about even preparation for the tests that he does want, that he then is making these big decisions, and the surgeon is counting on his decisions and trusts him because they keep referring to him as a doctor when he's a PA. So it's just the most bizarre situation I've been in, and when we're in bizarre and rather chaotic situations, we know all the more discernment of spirit is necessary. So as my aunt said, we must wait on the Lord. Something's not right. Maybe I'm to have a different surgeon. Or, as they told this doctor that I saw after he called them to say, no, she's okay, that they said that my surgery would be such that, what if I would not have the outcome that was positive after? Well, I'd have to deal with it. But if it's that tricky, and if this surgeon is that concerned about my bones, maybe the Lord would prefer me not to have the surgery if I'm going to end up worse from that, and better to eventually be paralyzed. Well, sooner or later, it could be any time. My pain doctor says that the spinal cord will completely close off. So, we have to sort of be realistic about matters. But no, I don't plan to. But I'd gotten out my, I'd put it away, but my vow of consecration of suffering. And in one of the first few lines of it, it's very wordy, back when I was so zealous and not more simplified as I am now, where now I just say, the cross. Oh, wait, I say, my Lord, my only Lord. The cross, and only the cross. Or sometimes, my love, my only love. The cross, and only the cross. But in my vow of suffering, and I was just reminded of this, remember, years ago, not long after I converted to Catholicism, I had a major locution. I was in a pain siege, suffering, probably just wishing that the Lord would come take me. Sometimes I've begged that. Who wouldn't? Who wouldn't? If these people were in my body, they'd be throwing up or screaming, So, I had this locution. It was so powerful. It was by the power of this locution. Well, let me read it exactly because I'd written it in here. Oh my gosh, how can you forget these locutions? But the temporal world and the chaos and the confusion. Okay. By the power of this locution, your suffering and the suffering of Holy Mother Church shall be made one. It was said like that. Well, that's a powerful locution. By the power of that locution, and that my suffering and the suffering of Holy Mother Church shall be made one. And, now even this suffering that I'm having, and of knowing that probably tomorrow this nurse is going to call, because she had wanted me to call this young Cody Friday, immediately. And of course, I've read up on these drugs, and with this certain type of drug, with the severity of the side effects, you're supposed to be given a sheet of all the side effects that will educate you to it, and you sign that you agree to the treatment. Well, Thursday night when this young man called me and was all thrilled because, oh my goodness, my blood test came out all right. Well, I said, for your future reference, you might want to know that you're supposed to fast for 12 hours and not even take supplements, which I had taken. I hadn't read that particular detail, that I did later then. But at least it came out valid. Probably would have been even better had I known not to even have supplements in my system. But yeah, and even then, his pride or something, he said, well, it's not really necessary. I thought, well, you know better than Mayo Clinic, and you know better than Cleveland Clinic. I guess I didn't say it. I'm learning to keep my little mouth shut. But anyway, he wanted to order it right then and there. It's like a used car salesman. He tried 4 different times to get me to agree over the phone to go ahead and order this particular drug. And, I'd like these specialists to look at the situation. They might want to do some other kind of treatment or therapy, not even any of that line of medication. So, locution was powerful. How could I have forgotten it? All the distraction of all this goofiness. And my own distractions of, yesterday I was out, I've got 2 leaking sprinklers, lines in the ground, and got to figure out how to fix those and have a good day in which I can. We'll see what happens. Just never had any doctor or surgeon give ultimatums. If you don't do this, even though it goes against what is even right or logical, that a person can't. Oh my goodness. If they could have picked up the phone a week ago Friday and gotten me in immediately to these medical doctors with their advanced degrees in osteo. Could have gotten me in. Instead, I had to do it on my own. Well, not really my own, the grace of God. At least they have the referral. I'm calling them tomorrow to beg, please get me in soon, like today, tomorrow, the next day. Maybe this surgeon would accept if they said, we're going to do the plan with her. He probably wouldn't. I just think there's some reason God is blocking this, very much so. And whatever suffering I'll have, be it a major life change or what, or maybe not having the hot shot surgeon. Maybe have some other surgeon, I don't know, and suffer longer and wait for the surgery with someone else. But anyway, I'm gonna redo my vow of suffering. I remember another locution I had once, and that was be an immolation. So the supernatural realm is so much more powerful and real than this temporal world. And I'm just realizing just how far away are most people from even the reality of heavy-duty suffering. Even people who are to be serving and being paid a lot of money to try to help people who are in pain. They don't have the experience, evidently. I did call my pain doctor's office, and they couldn't believe it. They said, oh, every day people are coming in. Yeah. Of course, no one wants to live with terrible suffering, but they're not killing themselves. But they verbalize it. I've read a statistic that of legitimate pain sufferers, 0.02% have killed themselves. And they don't know of that 0.2%, or 0.02%, those who have been denied pain medication due to the opioid extreme crisis going on now, or that they may have had some other problem. Maybe they were a veteran having horrible flashes of PTSD, or maybe we just don't know the details of that statistic, but it's not much. And particularly a Christian, and particularly a consecrated hermit, not going to be my way to go that I know of. I won't dare say, but we never know, because we don't know. And the devil, of course, is always attacking me all the more. I've learned over the years how to do combat with the devil. But I don't dare get into that with any explanation. Probably I could with my pain doctor. He's very astute, very Christian, and an advocate of me. We get along very well. And he has the ability to grasp at other levels and dimensions of pain. And so, anyway, it's very long. Sorry about that. If you're in that situation, again, I will never, ever, I will not try to explain or give any realistic answer if I'm ever asked again. Like I say, it's not ever been a problem in 35 years. I guess I've just been fortunate that all the various doctors and nurses and they are experienced enough with people in pain. Or because I think all of them, I've seen them. They've seen me. Or even by my tone of voice. This nurse, I think they're practically looking for some excuse not to operate on me. Because maybe the surgeon wants only optimum cases and easier cases. They get paid the same. why not have one that's easier than one that's more challenging? So, interesting stuff in a way. I learned a very good lesson. Honesty is not always the best policy. God bless His real presence in us, and I thank you for your prayers. They have been helping me. I have been able to get up more. I'm going to get up today as best I can. My right leg started going yesterday, but I got down and got over it. So, and I'm most willing to take whatever the Lord wills for me. I'm realizing, just remembering the locutions, that I'm not here to have an easy physical life. And the better that I suffer and renew my vows, and am reminded that it's for Holy Mother Church. My sufferings have been made one with Christ and with Holy Mother Church. And that makes me happy, really does. So God bless you all and His real presence in us.